The sun loosens its grip on the land. Slowly, without resistance. Gold fades into amber, amber into indigo. Along the Nile, the water darkens gently as if the river itself is closing its eyes. You are here now, standing on the bank, bare feet touching cool, packed earth. The heat of the day has passed. It lingers only as memory, rising softly from stone and sand. Palm fronds barely move. They listen. The river exhales, a long, unhurried breath. Small ripples catch the last light, then let it go. Torches flicker to life one by one, not in haste, but in ritual. Night does not arrive suddenly in Egypt. It is invited. And the Nile, always awake, accepts the darkness without fear. Tonight we walk slowly along its edge, not to hurry, not to arrive, only to be present as life continues quietly after sunset. Wood creaks softly on water. Felucca sails, now lowered, rest against the masts like folded wings. Boats drift toward the shore, guided more by memory than by sight. Oars dip once, twice, then stop. Fishermen step onto the bank, their movements practiced, economical, gentle. Nets are lifted slowly. Water spills back into the river with a sound like whispering cloth. No voices rise. Words are unnecessary now. The Nile knows these men. It has known their fathers, and their fathers before them. Hands rinse nets in the shallows. Moonlight glides across wet rope. A fish flicks its tail once, then grows still. Life taken, life respected. The work is not heavy. It is familiar, and familiarity brings peace. Above them, stars begin to appear, one by one, as if being remembered into existence. Small shrines line the river's curve, unassuming, weathered, enduring. A single lamp is lit, then another. Oil glows warmly against stone, casting shadows that move like breath. Incense smolders, not thick, not sharp, just enough to mark the moment. A woman kneels. Her offering is simple: bread, beer, a quiet bow of the head. She does not ask loudly. She trusts the river to hear. Happy, giver of life, listener in the dark. The Nile reflects the flame, stretching it into gold upon black water. Prayer here is not performance. It is habit. It is gratitude. It is continuity. The shrine waits long after she leaves, holding the warmth of devotion as night deepens. Mud brick homes settle into darkness. Doors closed, walls warm. Inside, faint light pulses, lamps cupped by careful hands. Families eat quietly. Grain is shared, water passed. Breath slows. Children lean against walls, eyes heavy. Dreams already forming. Stories are not long tonight. The day has spoken enough. A mother smooths a child's hair, once, twice. Outside, the river keeps watch. The Nile never sleeps. It listens as homes exhale together in gentle unison. From a distance, the village glows like a constellation, mirrored perfectly in the water below. Footsteps on packed earth. Slow, measured. Guards walk the river path with staffs in hand. Not tense, not afraid. The night is familiar. Torches sway, casting long shadows that stretch and dissolve. Eyes scan the water, the reeds, the dark beyond the palms. Nothing stirs, and that is good. Protection here is quiet, vigilance without aggression. The Nile flows on, unbothered, eternal. The guards pause. Listen, insects sing, water moves. All is as it should be. The market does not sleep. It only softens. Day voices have faded. What remains is movement without noise. A lamp swings gently from a wooden post. Its flame bends, then steadies. Hands pass goods slowly now. Grain measured, cloth folded. No bargaining cries, no sharp gestures, only nods. Small acknowledgements. A basket is set down. Another is lifted. Coins do not clatter, they rest. The night teaches patience. Merchants speak in murmurs as though the air itself were listening. And perhaps it is. The Nile flows nearby, absorbing every sound, every intention. Trade continues not because of need, but because rhythm must be maintained. Even commerce learns to whisper after sunset. Clay jars wait by the river's edge, rounded, cool. Men and women step barefoot into the shallows, lifting water slowly, carefully. Each jar fills with a soft, hollow sound, a sound older than memory. Shoulders bear weight without complaint. The moon paints silver paths on the river, and the jars carry fragments of that light back to the village. Footsteps leave impressions in damp sand, soon erased, as if they were never there. This work has no audience. It does not seek recognition. It simply must be done. Water sustains life, so those who carry it move with reverence. Stone cools beneath the open sky. Columns rise into darkness, their carvings half seen, half remembered. Priests walk slowly through the courtyard, linen robes brushing stone. Their sandals make no sound. A lamp is adjusted, a wick trimmed, stars align above the temple roof, mirrored faintly in polished stone. The gods are not distant tonight. They are present in stillness. Incense curls upward, thin and patient. No ceremony unfolds, no crowds gather. This is maintenance of the sacred. A priest pauses, looks toward the river. The Nile glimmers between pillars. All offerings, eventually, flow back to it. Papyrus rests upon low tables. Ink, dark as night itself, waits in shallow bowls. A scribe bends forward, brush steady, breath slow. Records continue even after sunset. Deliveries noted, names preserved, numbers remembered. The world doesn't stop because the sun has gone. A lamp flickers. The scribe adjusts his posture. Writing is not rushed. Each mark matters. Each line extends the life of the moment. Outside, insects hum. Inside, history is quietly secured. The Nile hears everything, but humans still write, just in case. The night grows deeper now, and the Nile begins to speak in its own way, not with words, with movement. Moonlight stretches across the water, then breaks, then reforms. Stars shatter into fragments that drift downstream. Reeds sway gently, tracing patterns older than language. The river does not hurry. It has carried empires and will carry memory long after. Those who live beside it understand this. They mirror its patience, its repetition, its quiet endurance. Tonight the Nile doesn't demand attention. It simply continues. And that is enough. The river changes its voice after dark. Daybirds have fallen silent. Night ones listen first, then answer. A splash, soft, controlled. Something moves beneath the surface, unseen, unhurried. Along the reeds, eyes open briefly, reflecting moonlight, then close again. Crocodiles rest near the bank, ancient shapes, still as stone. They do not hunt now. They wait. Frogs speak in low pulses, a rhythm the river remembers. Nothing competes for attention. Each sound knows when to arrive and when to fade. This is not danger. It is balance. A small fire glows near the water's bend. Its flame is modest, respectful. Travelers sit close, shoulders relaxed, packs set aside. No stories are told loudly. The road has already spoken. A man stirs embers once, then stills his hand. The fire breathes. Faces catch light, then disappear again into shadow. The river reflects the flame but does not hold it. Sleep comes easily to those who trust the land. And tonight, the land is calm. The Nile passes them quietly, carrying tomorrow without effort. On boats, tethered near the shore, Guards rest with one eye open. Hands remain near staffs. Habit, not fear. The water rocks gently, a cradle older than thought. Torches burn low, protected from the breeze. A guard shifts his weight, listens. Nothing calls for action. The night approves. Breathing deepens. The river holds them steady. Even watchfulness must rest to endure. Near doorways and low walls, voices rise briefly, not to explain, not to entertain, only to remember. A name spoken, a journey recalled, a god mentioned softly. Stories are unfinished tonight. They trail off, like smoke. Listeners do not ask for more. Completion is not required. The river has heard these tales before. It keeps the endings. Silence returns without effort. The boundary grows thin now, between what is seen and what is believed. The river glows faintly, as though lit from within. Happy's presence is felt, not announced. Gods walk easily through night, not as figures, but as patterns, in water, in breath, in repetition. Those along the Nile do not look for miracles. They live inside one. The night accepts this truth without ceremony. Not all rituals are meant to be seen. Some are done simply because they have always been done. A priest stands alone near the water's edge, torch planted firmly in the sand. No crowd gathers. No chant rises. He pours a small measure of water back into the river, a return, not an offering. The Nile accepts without sound. This exchange leaves no mark, yet it is essential. Balance is maintained quietly. The night watches and does not interrupt. Oars enter the water without splash. Wood meets river in mutual understanding. A small boat moves upstream, guided by stars more than sight. The rower does not strain. Each pull is measured, familiar. The water parts easily, then closes again as if untouched. Reflections stretch, break, reform. Progress is slow, and that is correct. The Nile carries those who respect its pace. Temple roofs lie open to the sky. Priests recline on cool stone, scrolls nearby. Stars do not hurry across the heavens. They drift, repeating paths known long before writing. A finger traces a pattern in the air. Names are spoken softly: Osiris, Isis, Horus. The sky is a record older than papyrus, and tonight it is perfectly legible. The river reflects the stars, copying the heavens with devotion. Sleep comes unevenly near the water. Some drift easily, others hover. A child turns in rest, murmuring. A fisherman dreams of nets that never tangle. A scribe dreams of symbols writing themselves. The Nile moves through all dreams alike, uninvited but welcome. Its sound shapes rest without command. Even in sleep, life remains connected to the river. Midnight deepens further, and the river grows heavier with memory. Every footstep erased, every voice absorbed. What remains is continuity. The Nile has seen births, farewells, empires rise and soften. It remembers without judgment. Tonight is no different. Another night added to eternity. The water flows on, carrying everything gently forward. There comes a moment, deep in the night, when even the smallest sounds begin to rest. The chorus of insects thins, then pauses. Not silence, but something softer, a held breath. The river continues, unchanged, unconcerned. Reeds barely move. Palms stand motionless. This hour belongs to no one. It exists between moments, between duties. Those awake feel it instinctively. They slow, without being told. The Nile flows through the quiet as it always has. A pale mist lifts from the river. Not thick, not obscuring, just enough to soften edges. The far bank blurs, then returns. Torches glow inside the haze, their light stretched and gentle. Figures walking nearby appear and fade, appear and fade. Reality loosens its outline. The river becomes dreamlike without becoming unreal. This is when the boundary thins further between water and sky, between waking and sleep. The Nile welcomes the fog as it welcomes everything. A few remain conscious now, not because they must, but because they wish to. A priest seated near the outer bank, hands resting on knees. A guard gazing at reflections, thinking nothing at all. An elder watching the current, remembering without effort. They do not speak. Words would interrupt the moment. Awakeness here is not alertness, it is presence. The river acknowledges them by continuing on. Cats curl near warm stone walls, eyes closed, ears listening. Ibises stand motionless in shallow water, one leg lifted, balanced. Even the crocodiles remain still, their power folded inward. Life conserves itself during this hour. Strength is not displayed, it is stored. The Nile shelters all forms of rest equally. Minutes lose their edges. They no longer line up, they overlap. This hour feels long and brief at once. The river does not mark time. It repeats, flow after flow, night after night. Those who live beside it learn this lesson early. Time is not something to move through. It is something to float within. The Nile carries the night in wide, endless circles. Oil lamps grow smaller now. Flames shorten, wicks darken, light no longer reaches far, and that is enough. Shadows settle closer to walls. Corners soften. No one rushes to refill the oil. The night is nearly finished with its work. The river reflects only fragments of light now, broken gold, slowly drifting. Even illumination knows when to withdraw. The Nile continues, unbothered by dimming flame. Some bodies shift in sleep, not waking, not dreaming deeply, just turning toward comfort. A hand moves, a breath changes. The night has done its labor well. Outside, the river adjusts its sound, barely perceptible. The change is felt before it is heard. Morning is not present yet, but it is remembered. The Nile prepares without announcement. No final prayers are spoken. They are no longer needed. The last whispered words have already settled into stone and water. Faith does not require repetition to remain strong. The river has received everything. Tonight is complete. Stillness takes over without ceremony. The water lightens slightly. Not bright, not visible yet, just less dark. Reflections stretch longer, thinner. Stars lose definition as sky and river begin to resemble one another. The Nile has carried the night faithfully. It releases it slowly. Nothing is lost. Flow continues. The deepest dark recedes, not pushed away, not ended, simply replaced. Cool air lingers. Night animals remain still. Those who are awake do not mark the moment. They feel it. The cycle prepares to begin again. The Nile remains, as it always will. There is a silence that belongs only to this hour. Not the silence of night, and not yet the sound of morning. It rests between them. The river moves almost without sound now, as if respecting the moment. No voices rise. No tools stir. Even thought seems to slow. Those awake feel the pause instinctively. Nothing asks to begin yet. The Nile holds the quiet without effort. Stars loosen their grip on the sky. One by one, they soften. Their reflections stretch across the river, then thin, then disappear. The water doesn't mourn them. It has held stars before and will again. Constellations dissolve without drama. The night releases its symbols gently. The Nile reflects what remains and lets the rest go. A boat drifts from the bank. No call is made, no signal given. An oar enters the water slowly, carefully. The rower does not hurry. This movement does not begin the day. It simply acknowledges the time continues. The river receives the hull as it always has. No wake forms, only a soft widening of water. The Nile accepts the boat without comment. Tools rest where they were left, baskets empty, ropes slack. Work does not rush forward. It waits. The land inhales one last time before effort returns. Those who will work soon remain asleep or quiet. Their bodies know when to rise. The Nile does not call them. It trusts the rhythm. The darkness loosens finally, not retreating, just thinning. Air cools, then steadies. Birds remain silent a moment longer. The night finishes its duty. It leaves no trace of struggle. The river flows on, unchanged, ready. The edge of the world begins to change, not with color, but with feeling. Darkness thins at the far horizon, a quiet easing. The river senses it first. Water lightens slightly, as though remembering the day. No one names the moment. It arrives without ceremony. The Nile carries the change as it carries everything. The fog begins to rise. Not quickly, not completely. It loosens its hold strand by strand. Torches fade within it, then vanish. The far bank returns slowly, like a thought resurfacing. The river breathes out. Edges sharpen again. Nothing is forced. A single set of footsteps appears. Soft, measured. Bare feet touch damp earth, leaving impressions that will not last. A figure moves without hurry, following the river's curve. No greeting is exchanged. Mourning does not require speech. The Nile accompanies the walk without altering its pace. Presence is enough. The last lamps flicker, then settle into darkness. No one notices immediately. Light withdraws naturally. Stone cools fully. The river reflects only sky now. No flame remains. The night's tools are put away without acknowledgement. The Nile does not depend on fire. Life does not restart. It continues. The change from night to morning is subtle. Those beside the river feel it before they see it. This has happened every day. It will happen again. The Nile flows, unchanged, eternal. Beyond the moment you last remember, the night continues to unfold, not loudly, not suddenly, but the way linen settles after being laid down, the way warmth leaves stone without asking permission. Further along the river's curve, shadows loosen their grip on form. Buildings lose their edges. Paths become suggestions rather than directions. Somewhere, a gate made of wood and rope rests against its frame. It does not creak. It understands the hour. Inside a courtyard, water sits in shallow bowls. Its surface barely stirs. Stars break themselves into fragments there, each reflection softer than the last. No one watches. No one needs to. The air carries traces of the day that was. Grain husks, damp clay, the faint bitterness of crushed herbs. But even these are thinning now, dissolving into something less defined. A dog curls near a threshold, not guarding, only remembering warmth. Above, the sky doesn't press down. It opens. Constellations drift without urgency. They do not instruct. They witness. Farther from the dwellings, the land lowers itself toward the water. Mud holds the memory of bare feet. Not footprints, impressions already fading. Reeds sway but do not whisper. They lean toward one another as if sharing something too old for language. A boat, untethered but unmoving, rests where current slackens. Its ropes dip into the river, absorbing coolness, darkening thread by thread. Inside the vessel, Nothing waits. Nothing anticipates. It is complete simply by remaining. The river's surface shifts in slow patterns, not repeating, never correcting itself. Each movement replaces the one before it without regret. Beneath that surface, water slides past water. Layers move independently. Depths touch depths without ever meeting. Time behaves differently here. Not counted, not divided, not chased. Moments widen. They stretch thin. They rest. On the opposite bank, fields breathe out the heat they gathered. Stalks bend slightly, no longer upright with effort, but softened by release. Somewhere unseen, an owl turns its head. The motion is precise, unhurried, complete. It does not hunt, it listens, and the listening itself feels like motion. Further inland, walls built to hold grain cool from sun-baked intensity into something gentler, something porous. Inside them, abundance sleeps, not guarded by fear, but by familiarity. Hands that filled these spaces earlier have forgotten the weight they carried. Muscles loosen, thoughts thin. In one room, a woven mat lies partly folded, not straightened, not corrected. It was enough to leave it as it was. In another, a jar leans slightly to one side, its lip chipped long ago. Water remains inside it anyway. Perfection is unnecessary here. The night does not demand completion. It accepts what remains unfinished. Further downriver, the current narrows, pressing between banks that lean inward. Water deepens in color. Reflections disappear. The moon is no longer mirrored. It has moved elsewhere. Darkness does not replace it. Something softer arrives instead. A density without weight. This is where sound becomes texture, where distance loses measurement. A splash, not sharp, not startling, simply an interruption that folds back into stillness. A fish returning to depth. A ripple widening, thinning, forgetting itself. The night breathes through these motions. Inhale. Release. No rhythm announces itself. No pattern repeats. Even the river forgets its own shape. Along a path seldom walked after dusk, stones lie half buried. They do not mark direction. They remember footsteps that no longer come. Above them, insects trace brief paths through air. Light touches their wings, then slips away. Nothing follows them. Nothing needs to. Farther still, temple walls catch the faintest glow. Not illumination, a suggestion. Reliefs sink back into shadow. Figures carved to last forever rest from being seen. They do not fade. They withdraw. What was once story becomes presence. Columns hold silence the way palms hold wind, without resistance. Inside the courtyard, sand cools grain by grain. Each particle releases the sun at its own pace. There is no agreement between them, yet the cooling happens anyway. This is how rest works, not by command, by allowance. The river bends again, villages thin, light becomes rare, night grows wider, stars feel closer here, not brighter, but more attentive. They do not shine down, they observe alongside. And in that shared watching, the world loosens. Thoughts no longer line up. Memories drift without sequence. Images soften at the edges. The mind, like water, ceases to insist on form. Somewhere between banks and sky, between breath and pause, the need to follow dissolves. There is nothing to track, nothing to complete, only continuation. The river moves, not toward an end, but into itself. And you move with it. Not carried, not guided, simply included. Let that inclusion settle. Let the last sense of direction slip beneath the surface. Here, after everything has been said, the night does not conclude. It holds. And within that holding, sleep arrives without announcing its name.